Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at the Briser Arbalest. The Briser Arbalest is an odd bow, crossbow rather. And the entire purpose of the Briser seems to be magic find, from what I can tell. So when we take a look at this bow, I guess we'll have to take a look at it from the perspective of magic find. Right off the bat, though, you can see that it has a damage of 42 to 111, dexterity requirement of 61, strength requirement of 52, and a level requirement of 32. So it's a rather low-level magic find bow, which makes it kind of nice. So as we go over this, we'll have to look at it from the perspective of a level 32 item. We have an enhanced damage of 170 to 200%, which is a 30% variable there. We also have a max damage bonus, which does vary from plus 10 to plus 30. And that is a pretty big difference in damage, especially considering that is on the base. We also have a 33% chance of open wounds, which is absolutely great. That is an 8-second bleed based on character level. At level 32, it's not going to be that much damage, but it will prevent the monsters from regenerating and will provide a little bit of extra damage. We also get 1 to 212 lightning damage, which is actually a lot at level 32. And I think you will find that the combination of the lightning damage and the open wounds pretty devastating at level 32. It also comes with Knockback, which is pretty amazing because, quite honestly, most characters who want to use a bow are trying to keep the monsters away from them. And not only does this bow have a pretty nice amount of elemental damage, it also has open wounds, and then it also has Knockback on top of that. Now you can also take a look at the life there. It adds a little bit of life, and then it gives magic find. So the magic find is 30 to 60%, and it is unfortunate that this varies because I feel like if this boat always spawned with 60%, you'd be more apt to use it, especially considering you can beef it up even further by putting in an ist rune. Now, why would you put an ist rune in this? Well, maybe you're just an Amazon who would like to magic find. And you don't really have any other choices. This is a relatively high magic find item, and I was pretty sure I had an ist rune laying around somewhere. I got plenty of lems and lums, but no ists. In fact, I think I have an ist sitting on a gem mule. I'll be right back. Because we're going to go grab that, and we're going to put it in the bow. Because why not? This is a magic find bow, and we're going to up the magic find as far as we can get it and see what kind of magic find we got. All right, so taking the magic find on this Briser as high as we possibly can, we would have to put an ist rune in there because ist runes are the very few objects that give magic find in items that are weapons. So we get the 30% bonus on the 60% if we happen to find a Briser in its best form, which will give us a 90% magic find in a weapon. And that's pretty high, considering that it is a bow, and most magic find items that you can possibly put on a character are not bows. So let's take a look at some of them. Well, rather, let's talk about some of them because I don't have them handy. But the Alibaba is one of them. The Gull Dagger has 100% magic find, but those are both melee weapons. And if I'm an Amazon who wants to magic find, well, I don't have a lot of choices. I could just get like a 6-socket bow and put 6 ists in it, and maybe that would be okay if I was an elemental Amazon. But I would still be lacking any form of physical damage, and Briser at least gives me that. A 90% magic find at level 30, too, is actually not bad. Unfortunately, putting the ist rune in there does raise the level to level 51, so keep that in mind. Now, we can also upgrade this, and by upgrading this, we can make it do a little bit more damage. Unfortunately, this will also increase the level requirement. To upgrade this, I'm pretty sure we're going to need a pull rune and a lum rune, which I hope I still have some lummy lums laying around. I do. And then we're going to need a perfect emerald. Now, this is already an elite item, so the Arbalest is the elite version, and this will go to the exceptional version, and it will go to the elite version. This will increase the strength requirement, the dex requirement, and the level requirement. So keep that in mind. So we're going to go from 42 to 111 damage, 61 dexterity, 52 strength, and a level requirement of 32. and that will go to a pellet bow of 84 to 249, 155 dexterity, which is pretty high, 83 strength, and a level 58 requirement. So still relatively low on the level requirements. The damage did go up rather nicely to 84 to 249, and unfortunately, the lightning damage is not really that great now, because at level 58, 212 lightning damage is not the most amazing thing in the world. But the 33% chance of open wounds and the knockback are still relatively effective. And are you going to use this bow as your main weapon? No, you're probably not. Are you going to use it for magic finding? Yes, you probably will. The Briser on a Amazon is one of the few ways that you can get a massive amount of magic find in bow form. That is really the only really use it has, is magic find in bow form. Theoretically, you could also use this on a like a necromancer or a sorceress or something if you didn't have anything else. And like, say you were leveling up and you just haven't found a Gull Dagger, you haven't found a Blade of Alibaba, you haven't found any Ist runes, and you haven't been able to create yourself a magic find weapon yet. The 60% on this is actually better than probably the only magic find item you have at the moment, which is going to be a rhyme shield, which is only 25%. So theoretically, you could throw this on just for the extra 60% until you build your magic find a little bit higher, and that extra magic find will actually come in handy to get you better equipment. I don't particularly think the Briser ends up being one of people's main choices. But because of its interesting effects, the knockback, the open wounds, the lightning damage, along with the magic find, and its relatively nice damage, it doesn't make a terrible bow for level 31 or level 32. Unfortunately, it is a relatively slow bow with only normal attack speed on an Amazon, and it actually gets a little bit slower on other classes, believe it or not, because bows have different speeds depending on what class you're playing. So maybe instead of putting an Ist rune in here, you would probably put a Shale rune so it attacks faster. It actually would not be a bad choice with this particular bow. It's a solid 1-tier upgrade for an Amazon anyway. I definitely would not upgrade this if you were not on an Amazon, because 155 strength requirement is a little ridiculous. However, level 58 is not a bad requirement. And 155 strength, or 155 dex and 83 strength is actually not bad either, because if you are going to be using bows, for instance, they happen to have high requirements. Like, for instance, here is a Wind Force Hydra bow, and as you can see, 167 dexterity and 134 strength. So definitely not too high of a strength and dex requirement for an Amazon. If you're looking to find this particular bow, I think it's actually pretty easy to find. But let's go over to Stylus Pen, just because I'm starting to use Stylus Pen more now. Not because I don't think that the TC class and Q level is a good way to do it, but because I want to give you guys a specific monster to go kill. I feel like this is important. So let's pretend we have about 150% magic find, and we're trying to find this particular item, and it is of course, the Briser. And we're going to go to bosses first, and we're going to take a look and see what bosses can drop this. So, looks to me like Andoriel in Nightmare difficulty is probably your best bet on the non-quest. Bale in normal difficulty is the second best, and Mephisto in Nightmare difficulty is the third best, as well as Diablo very close behind Mephisto in Nightmare difficulty. And then if we go to super uniques, Neelathak in Nightmare, Summoner in Nightmare, Cow King in Hell, Cow King in Nightmare, Radamant in Nightmare, Countess in Nightmare, Neelathak in Hell, Summoner in Hell, all pretty decent chances. And then, you know what, let's go to normal difficulty, because level 32 is actually a pretty easy normal difficulty item. It's right at the end there, right as you're leaving normal difficulty. And it looks like Bale in normal difficulty and Diablo in normal difficulty have pretty good chances to drop this item. And then let's go to super uniques in normal. So Neelathak, Frozenstein, Pindleskin, Thresh Socket, Snapchip, Snapchip Shatter, and Lister the Tormentor all have halfway decent chances to drop this in normal difficulty. So pretty much you're going to be able to find this in late normal difficulty, early nightmare difficulty, and from pretty much all the bosses. All the bosses have a pretty good chance of dropping them in basically Diablo and up in normal difficulty, and pretty much all the bosses all the way up to hell. Although it looks like you have a pretty fair chance in nightmare difficulty to find this. So I guess if you're looking for a Magic Find bow for your Amazon specifically, which is an odd character to Magic Find on, and I feel like that's something that we can touch on really quickly. Most people don't like to Magic Find on characters that are considered very gear-based. So certain characters in the game are extremely gear-based, and they don't do well without good equipment. And when you start putting Magic Find equipment on them, they start to do poorly, extremely poorly. And Amazon tends to be one of them. So if you were going to build an Amazon who was specifically trying to Magic Find, Briser could be one of the items you could incorporate into your build. But keep in mind that the damage on it is not going to be as amazing as something like a Windforce Hydra Bow, for instance, which is 35 to 547. But it's still going to be enough that you're going to be able to kill things. And the open wounds, the knockback, and the Magic Find definitely make it an option. I think most people, what they do is they just simply ignore this bow and they Magic Find on their Sorceress or their Hammerden or their Necromancer instead. And those are solid choices because those particular characters tend to have less trouble with poor equipment. But if you are specifically looking to make a Magic Find Amazon, this is a good choice. And there are some pretty good places that Amazons can Magic Find that other characters can't. A bow Amazon, specifically one that is spec'd into fire and ice, can actually farm Maggot Lair with extreme proficiency. And Maggot Lair is actually a pretty nice zone for farming for runes, as well as the level 3 is actually an 85 zone and has a chance to drop just about every item in the game there. So not exactly a terrible place to go farm with all the bugs that can drop, like Jaw runes and Zod runes and things like that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when they are about a rather odd bow like Briser. And keep watching.